Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. It's been a long time since I've done a vlog. I haven't been sleeping very much lately because of this pain issues that I'm dealing with, but I'll try to do this as quickly as I can and get through it. I've been excited about doing some videos the last couple of weeks, but just have not had the ability to get in front of a camera. Last night I finally had the best sleep I've had in probably a week. I think it's out of exhaustion, frankly. So I thought I felt halfway decent. Try to get, see if I can get a vlog out here. I'm working on a fantastic video on my new modded Xbox, which I've had for some time, and I've just been trying to get acclimated to it. Unfortunately, when you get this incredible console, there's no manual that goes with it. You don't know how to do anything on it, nothing. So I've been trying to call my friend Steve Baker and sending him texts. Dude, do you know how to go in and do this and that? Of course, he knows a little bit more about this stuff than I do, where he did work on it. And I'm getting bits and pieces and then researching stuff online. But I'm at the point now where I can go in and I can install or rip my favorite original Xbox games right to the hard drive, which is fantastic. So, and again, I've recommended this so many times. If you have an Xbox 360, and if you do have, fortunate enough to have a modded Xbox, install your games. It saves so much wear and tear on the DVD drive and all the mechanisms spinning back and forth. I mean, it really does. It really, you want to preserve the length of your console, it's the way to go. So I'm not going to go. I could probably install, hundreds of games in my 500 gigabyte hard drive in my modded Xbox, especially these older games where they're just in the megabytes. The storage space is not very much, so you can put a shitload of games. I'm only putting just like my favorites in, just the ones that I could see myself going to the most and playing and picking up where I left off. So I've got probably over a dozen, maybe even 2 dozen games in there so far. I put a little bit each day. I can only sit at my PC for so long. In fact, sitting here is challenging. I try to kind of leaning forward a little bit so I don't touch my back too much. But I'm having a blast with it, though. It's a fantastic console. I'm anxious to get to it. But what kind of triggered this particular rant I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm trying to pick out all my favorite games that I had the best memories playing, and and I'm going through my collection. Some of them it's so big now I can only show maybe half of my Xbox collection. The other half I got to put them away in closets or shelves or something because there's no room. I can't display everything anymore. I'm just out of room. And I'm going through them, and I'm like, oh, wow, I forgot about this one and this one. And, oh, I forgot I had this. And I get so excited just going through them. And it reminded me of a time where we had so many games. I remember back, those games were $50 a piece back then, only $10 cheaper than they are now. So I think we've never had it so good. $60 for a game. They should be $120 by now with inflation. But I paid $50 in the late '89 for a game, and I'm paying almost the same thing now. We really have it. People whine about their prices of games. They're just, really, dude? I mean, people will spend, like Hemingway says, pheasant hunting is worth whatever price you have to pay for it. If something is meaningful to you, the money is not the object. I mean, naturally, you have to pick and choose. I mean, there's only so much money you have. Right now, I can't buy any new games or used games. I'm on a moratorium for probably a year. I cannot spend the money. I have no income coming in right now at all. I'm injured. Who knows when I'm going to get my back fixed. It's a very slow, cumbersome process. Very frustrated. In the meantime, I have no way to pay my bills, so it is what it is. I'm putting my truck up for sale this weekend, which is an absolute last resort. I worked so hard to pay that thing off and to take care of it, and it kills me that I have to sell it. But to me, you have to do what you have to do. So I'm working on some things to try to, give me some income for a while so I can try to get my back repaired and get back to work again, which is what I'm anxious to do. So I'm enjoying the process of, getting acclimated with my modded Xbox and going through all these games. I'm like, God, I was buying a game a week. Brand new games would come out. There'd be so many. There'd be 4, 5, 6, 7 games a month coming out. I couldn't keep up with them. I was buying at least a new game every week at $50 a week, sometimes 2. And so every month, it was rare that a month went by and I didn't buy at least 2 games, new games. I mean, now I barely buy anything. I wait, once every 3, 4 months I buy a new game. Even then, I can only afford so much. So there's just like nothing coming out. And that's kind of what my emphasis of my rant is that there's no, the games are so heavily compromised from the corporations that are making them. Unfortunately, with this new, Orwellian age that we live in with political correctness, the games are so ruined with political correctness. I just watched a new trailer last night for some DLC expansion pack for Battlefield 5, and it showed some chick riding high, flexing on a tank with a ponytail blowing in the wind and running mascara down her eyes. The sun gleaming off her ponytail, and all of a sudden she stops the tank. Stop! She's in command, obviously. And she's got a sniper rifle, and she picks off this guy on this bluff, and I almost threw up. Give me a fucking break. They're rewriting history for political correctness. It's just insane. I just don't get it. If you like playing as a girl, what can I tell you? I don't understand it, but more power to you. Everyone has their things they're into. I do like the Tomb Raider series, and I enjoy every Tomb Raider game because it's an iconic series. It wasn't trying to be edgy or hip back then. It was like, well, here's a female protagonist, going back in time, fighting dinosaurs, and kind of like Indiana Jones, that's interesting. And it was very cool and unique. So I've been loyal to that franchise. But so many games. I got a new Wolfenstein game with his twin daughters, supposedly. And so I have a choice between playing one of the two chicks, I guess, and then co-op to boot. No thanks. I'll never touch that game. And even if they do have a single-player campaign, I'm just not interested. I can't do it. It's just me. The games are so heavily compromised today. We're getting fewer games out. There's no question about that because they're so exorbitant to make these games. It's so expensive. And they take them years, 2 to 5 years to crank these games out. It takes so long. And then what does come out, because it's been compromised heavily. I watched Gotti 360, one of my few people I enjoy watching that's left that I can watch. There's very few people left I can sit and watch anymore that actually have something interesting to say that I want to hear. And he's talking about this new Kojima game, the Death Stranding game, which has these fascinating trailers. Frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the guy for my own reasons. I never liked the Metal Gear Solid thing. I think he ripped off John Carpenter's Snake Plissken with the snake and the eye patch, and he's a ex special forces guy. It's too many similarities. And to me, early on, I made a conscious decision to not play that game because of that. But I've heard it's a great game. If you like the Metal Gear series, I don't take anything away from that. It looks like a really cool stealth series. It certainly is an iconic series. In fact, that's one of the games it came with my CoinOps 8 of the 4,100 plus games that came installed in my modded Xbox. That was one of them, and it's nice that they include those iconic PS1 games. So nothing against those. If you like the series, that's cool. For my own reasons, it was just he copied it too much. It's like, go ahead and make an Escape from New York game. That'd be great. I loved it, and they had one in the works, but unfortunately, it didn't make it. But for that reason, I just never played this series. But anyway, Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out, and I knew everyone was just hyped to hell over it. Just so much hype. But then I started, right up until it came out, there was rumors that Kojima was like ostracized and kicked out of his own thing, and that game was heavily compromised. God only knows what the original vision even was for the game. They turned it and morphed it into something completely alien than what he wanted, what his vision for that game was. So they kept some of his crazy cutscenes and his story elements in it, and the rest of it, God only knows how that was watered down and diluted and perverted from Kojima's thing. So because of that, I felt bad for the guy, obviously. Sony's has a contract with him now, and now they're doing this Death Stranding thing. And it looks interesting. I got to admit that they're fascinating trailers. I love science fiction, and I like what I see. I just want to see more. It's just so crazy, way out there and vague. I don't know what they see, a little baby, and it's talking to this baby, and carrying babies around in a battlefield. That's just absurd, but maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I'll have to give it a chance. I'll wait till it comes out and watch reviews, and they'll have breakdowns of it and everything by then. But that game was, and Gotti's point was, and he said, that game was horrible. I couldn't even finish it. Everyone was, oh God, Metal Gear Solid 5 Game of the Year and all this stuff. Mad Max came out the same day. To me, the photorealism is far superior in Mad Max. it looks like a better game from where I'm coming from. There were even, they handcuffed you even in Metal Gear Solid 5. If you play, you couldn't even just go in and kill everyone. If you had to like follow their rule book for how to, you were forced to do stealth, or you didn't get past the levels apparently. So they had a lot of heavy hand holding or ham-fisted elements in that game, from what I understand. But there's people that like the game, I guess, rave about it. But I don't. It looks boring to me personally. But Gotti said he couldn't get into it as a real fan of that series. He saw that it was compromised from Kojima's vision, so he bailed on it. He says that this new Death Stranding is kind of a middle finger to that, I guess Konami or the studio that made it. And perhaps it is. It'll be interesting to see what comes out. But I'm just glad to see something new, a new IP, that's something that's innovative. It's not just the same old Call of Duty formula, the same old Far Cry formula that we've seen done to death, which I still like. Nothing against the Far Cry series. The Far Cry 5, I still am very anxious to play it. It looks great. I'm anxious to see and to play some of the DLC for that as well. It looks really good. But my God, these games are just so badly compromised today. There's Mortal Kombat 11. They took the women and now they got more clothes on them and made them more flat-chested. They don't want to make them true to what they've always been since the PS1 days and the arcade days. I've got all the Mortal Kombats in my Coin Ops 8. I mean, like 10 or a dozen of them. I mean, tons of them. From NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1, every variation, all the true arcade versions of those that were in the arcade machines. I have every version of Mortal Kombat. It's one of my favorite fighting series, one of the only ones I like. Wasn't into the Street Fighter and a lot of the other ones as much, even though I could see myself learning to like a lot of those today. But the Primal Rage and Mortal Kombat have always been my favorite fighting games. And it's like how they compromise that. I mean, to me, I can't do it. Just knowing how they've perverted that. I don't care how great the graphics look and the gore, and that's great. They got great gore effects. I'm all for gore and graphic violence and Tarantino violence. It's fine. But the fact that they've ruined with political correctness that game, how can you even? To me, I'm the type, if I open a loaf of bread and it looks like good, it's been sitting a while, but it looks okay. I open it up and I see one piece of mold on one slice, I throw the whole fucking loaf out. I'm not interested in eating something that, even if unknowingly could have molded and I'm eating another piece, even though it doesn't look like there's any visual. It's compromise. Just get rid of the whole loaf. That's how my thinking is with games too. If I know it's been compromised, I'm not interested. If they come out with a new Mad Max game and I'm forced to play as a female Max, or Furiosa or something, as interesting as that character was with Fury Road, I can't do it. I can't. And that's how I am. And so what few games are coming out are compromised. They're compromised with political correctness. They're compromised with this Anthem and all these games, all the graphics, everyone's raving about Anthem, and it comes out, everyone's just bored to death with it. Apparently it's very stale. There's nothing really dynamic. It looks visually amazing from what I can see, but nothing that looks good to me. I mean, I'm just not into this type of Destiny games. I just don't understand the attraction. But it's just the online service-oriented games. It's just a server, and as long as that game's popular, and you're playing off their server, they own that game. You're paying $60 for a rental pass to play it as long as it's popular. They control that game. So down the road, hey, I want to return to that game 8-10 years from now, you probably won't be able to. The servers are going to be down. That game's going to be a fucking memory. That game disc is a fucking coaster. That's all it's good for. That's why I've said game collecting is pretty much dead. Collecting games. You're collecting, hard drives space now, or external hard drive space, as I am with my PS4 Pro and my 4 terabyte external hard drive. I mean, I can only hope I can play all those games down the road. I don't even know. I'm kind of going out on faith that I can, but it makes you wonder. So the games are getting compromised politically. Orwellian, political correctness that's just forced down your fucking throat, whether you like it or not. I can't abide by that. I can't. I can't abide by these heavy hand-holding and just forcing. ideologies down your throat, you know? I'm sitting anyway, I'm going through it, I've got all these great games. I've got Medal of Honor, Frontline, and Rising Sun. You know, I'm thinking of the Medal of Honor series and how much I love that series from EA, you know, and it's a shame that they don't have any new Medal of Honors. But they were uncompromised. There's like hardcore, violent, they were like Saving Private Ryan games, very much in your face, and they tried to have some hardcore, you know, violent cutscenes and stuff, and I really like what they did with those games. Frankly, I love the 2010 Medal of Honor. It's a fantastic experience. It was so good. But because the political correctness crept in and the war was unpopular, oh, we're demonizing terrorists. We don't want to know from the Middle East. I can't get into specifics, but you could see why all these fairly, let's face it, progressive liberal game reviewers shot down the 2010 Medal of Honor. It frankly is a great game. I love the game. I don't see anything wrong with that game at all, other than a few invisible walls that kept you from getting to certain areas. It was very linear for what it was, but that's fine. I like linear games. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, once in a while you couldn't go through an area that you were hoping you could find a back way around. Today we get spoiled with the open world dynamics. We can go any way you want to achieve a mission objective, but that game is great. And that Medal of Honor Warfighter is even better. God, it's so good. And that game just got, people spread their cheeks and just sprayed diarrhea all over that game. And there's nothing wrong with that game. I mean, I can't say for the multiplayer, and I know that's why a lot of people bought it, but for the single-player campaign, it's fantastic. The plot is very convoluted and jumps around through different people's stories or visions or whatever, but I really like the game a lot. The gameplay is so good. It's so photorealistic and so well done. I didn't see any bugs. I didn't have any issues with that game. But yet the game was crapped on because of political correct game reviewers at the time. So when you bring that game up to, oh yeah, that game sucks, you know. People, it's funny, I brought up the Rage game and talking about it lately, Rage 2. Oh yeah, first Rage game sucks. Really? Did you actually play it? Oh yeah, I played it. Oh, it's terrible. What was it you didn't like about it? Oh, the long, you know, it's got the long, loading screens were too long, the loading times, and what you do is they go right down to whatever the common, when you watch any of the game reviews, and recently they even had a couple comparison videos, the first Rage with the new one, all the little check marks of why the game was disliked, you hear them like repeating, like a recording. Oh, the load screens are too long. The loading times. Oh, it's this. Oh, the end of the story was shit. This, that. It's like, you wonder if they even played the game. It's like, it's one of the greatest games I've ever played. It's one of the top 10 7th-gen games I've ever played. It has hundreds and hundreds of unique injury and death animations in that. That game is a masterpiece. It's beautifully done. It's unfortunate that it did have technical problems on playing on a PC and heavy screen tearing issues on the PlayStation 3 version. The Xbox 360 version plays like a dream. I've had zero issues, zero bugs and problems or crashes with it. It's an awesome game, and I can't wait to play that game again after playing. I've got about 90 minutes in this new one, which is fantastic, but it's just too much. It's too much of a fast-paced game, and I got into it too much. I was starting to get in the open world and exploring and getting into battles with people. It's so fun, but I tensed up my back. It was I've got to park the game temporarily, which kills me. So I know other people have already beaten it and played it, and they're on their second playthrough, and it's so frustrating that I can't play it. So I'm trying to return to some of these older games that are shorter games. And then people, oh, the game, you can beat it in, 12 hours or whatever, as if like that's a bad thing. Frankly, the game has got 30 to 50 hours of gameplay from people that I know that have actually played the game and done a lot of the side quests and really leveled up, found all of the arcs and did everything properly. It's not an 8-hour game. It's as if you're racing through it, like Mad Max or anything. I got 270 hours and 4 playthroughs of Mad Max and still haven't finished the game. I got like 60% of the game beat. I still have almost half the game left. Fallout 4, I've got 144 hours in it, and I've got it right at the middle of the game. So, I mean, if you really take the time and do everything in it, and go after the collectibles and the side quests, which to me, I love the grind. It's not grind, oh, it's got too much of a grind to it. You got to grind for this, grind for that. Well, in their hurry to get a review out, naturally they resent grinding for anything. They want to, that's halting them from their goal of getting that first day one review out. So naturally, they resent every bit of anything that halts them. They just want to do just the main missions, race through it, and get right to the meat and potatoes. Well, unfortunately, like with Mad Max and what I can see with Rage 2, you've got to grind and do a lot of that side stuff to level up your powers and your weapons to where you become like a superhero, and then the game is fun. So yeah, naturally, the game's not fun to them. Like with Mad Max. Mad Max, I can't imagine. If you didn't level your Max character up or the car, that game would be a chore. An absolute grind to get through. But because I enjoyed the grind, it wasn't a problem for me. So I find it interesting. People that say, "Oh yeah, I played that game, it's terrible," and they're just mindlessly mocking like a parrot the talking points of popular game reviews that they've quickly seen on the internet and quickly dismissed it. "Oh, that game's shit." Did you play it, dude? Really? Come on. I just don't buy it. This is the problem with game reviews today. I can go down. I can spend an hour just on that alone. So you get a lot of interest in the Mortal Kombat 11 is shit, from where I can see. I'll never touch it because of what they've done to that. The Doom Eternal looks really good. Cyberpunk 2077 looks good. That I'm looking forward to. And if it's another year or so from that, that's fine. Take your time and just get it right. That's all I ask. This new model, Modern Warfare, remaster, or not remaster, it's a reboot. It looks really good. What they're doing is they're focusing on, some of those really edgy, controversial, uncomfortable issues. That was, I think maybe it was Modern Warfare 1 or 2, where they had to kill everyone. I've played all of those and beat all of those Modern Warfare. In fact, I played them all in a week. Went through one, took about 2 evenings per game. I went through Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, beat them all. So enjoyable. What a great series. And I've got the remaster of the other one. I would like to actually go back and play that. I love doing the split screen with my nephew of all the maps of the Modern Warfare games. They're quite fun as well. But that game looks good, and already the people are like, they're mad because they're all the macho white guys. Where's the women? And here we go, the same thing. They're going to lean on Activision. They'll be forced to have, women in the... I already see where that's going. Hopefully they won't compromise it, and they'll just keep the Sergeant Price or whatever his name is. I like the tough, macho white guys that are in the game. That makes it cool, that makes it fun. I like it. I can identify with those characters. They want to have other races, that's fine. There's plenty. They showed a black guy in the trailer jumping out of the plane. That's great. Have a diverse group of men, but it's a man's job. Let men do the job that they're designed to do. That's what men do. They're born killers, a lot of them, and they hone their skills, and that's what makes those games really cool. So to me, that looks great. If they just have a single-player offline campaign, I'm all over it. We got this new Grid game coming out, and everyone's, "Oh yeah, it looks great, day one purchase for me," all this stuff. And I'm like, and I'm reading through all the comments. I've watched every single preview on the game. Not one person has said whether it's offline. Is it going to be offline? I put that in the questions. Who cares? And they come back, and it's like, well, I care, because I won't touch it if it's going to be like this fucking, what's it called? The rally. The Dirt Rally 2.0, where it's the whole campaign is online only. Technically, I guess you can buy the game and you can just do like a quick race thing and pick your favorite car and track, and I may get it just for that down the road, I guess. I can't afford it right now anyway, but... and that's made by Codemasters, so naturally, Codemasters making the new one, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't care about the cars. I don't care about what tracks and racing. I know it'll be great. I know it'll look photorealistic. That's beautiful. I just care about one thing. Is it a game that I can enjoy and then re-enjoy it down the road offline at my leisure? That's all I care. It's my prerequisite for buying a game. And no one knows. So I got to wait for that game, because even if I wanted to pre-order, I'm not going to take a chance. I'm glad I didn't pre-order that Dirt Rally 2.0. I would have been furious to find out that campaign is online only. My God. It's just amazing to me. So yeah, the Cyberpunk 2077 looks great. That new game coming out near the end of the year, the Modern Warfare, if it's offline, as an offline campaign, I don't care if it's 5 hours long. At least I can finish that. I like the Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 because they're games you can play in a couple evenings and beat, and then replay them, do speed runs, and try different weapons, and it's fun. They're fun. I prefer those games. These other games I become immobilized. Even Rage 2, I could see 30 to 60 hours easily for me in that game with one single playthrough. Because I'm going to want to do all the side quests. I want to see all the hidden areas underground in the sewers, and there's lots of hidden things that you will only find if you do some of those side quests. So why would I race through and miss half the fun? I don't get it. I had no desire to get an early day one review out. So that's why these reviewers, you got to frankly question all of them. Really. That GG Man Lives shit all over Mad Max. He was in such a hurry to get that review out. You could see he easily resented the fact that game made him grind. He did not want to say, fuck you, I'm going to play through it and get that review out. So he went against the fucking tide and just became a chore for him. He goes, oh God, it takes forever to level up. Dude, halfway into that game, I have more money and I've expanded my level the guy up to such a degree, I don't even know what to do with all the fucking money. The economy in that game is not as bad as he made it out. But he was just lazy, wanted to beat the game in an evening so he can get a fucking early review. So when he shit all over the game, unsubscribe. I'm done with that guy, And that's a lot of these big reviewers. You got to really think about their motives. And even if they aren't paid, even if they didn't get the game for free, as a dev kicked them down a disk or a code or whatever, still, the fact that they have their own hidden agendas as a big YouTuber to get their beat first and foremost, they'll naturally resent anything that stands in their way of their real goal. Just think about that. I've talked about that before, but... So, yeah, there's a few games coming out, but my God, there's not much. I got a Ghostbusters remaster coming out. That looks very cool. That's going to sell. That's going to be a great deal. The Sniper Elite V2 remaster, my God, I would have loved it. If I could have afforded it, I would have bought that game day one. That is a much more challenging, harder game, way harder than Sniper Elite 3 and 4 combined. It's tough. It's more linear, and man, once you get discovered in that game, you're fucked. You have to set traps. You have to really carefully have a backup plan on how to escape. And you're lucky even then if you can get out with your life. That game was tough. I've never fought so hard for my life in a game as that Sniper Elite V2. And I beat that game. That's a very tough game. And Sniper Elite 3 and 4 were nothing. They were like easy in comparison. Of course, now there's like radar vision. You can see through rocks. And the game is too easy now. It's kind of tragic in a way, but... So yeah, the Rage 2 reviews are disappointing. It's a shame because I love, Avalanche and Id, and they deserve better than the shitty review. Even Easy Allies and people who I used to admire and like as reviewers just had to go through the mantra of this. They were late getting the review out, so naturally they got to stay in line with the other big reviewers and just be indifferent. Oh, it was okay. The combat was all right, but boring, repetitive. Well, it's repetitive to you because you're in a hurry to get a fucking review out. Dude, games are repetitive. That's the nature of games since the arcades in the 80s. What the fuck? Jeez. When I hear people say that games are repetitive and they're boring and all this stuff, I look at them. Immediately my eye is looking at them, not the game. I'm like, well, you're the problem. These are code words for someone that's in a hurry for their own ulterior motives to get through the game. So... to me, the grinding is not an issue. Repetitiveness is not an issue at all. There were many different ways you could play Mad Max. Some of the boss battles were slightly repetitive, as you had pretty much the same style of boss and tactics and taking them down. But for the most part, they changed it up. Our battle arena was different enemy types they kept introducing as you went through, developed through the game. So it was fine with me. As long as there's enough new things introduced, then I don't mind some repetitiveness in a game, But to say every game is repetitive, come on, give me a break. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of new stuff. The new Grid game does look good if it's offline. But I can count like 3 or 4 games I'm looking forward to in the next year or so. That's it. Doom Eternal, the new Modern Warfare reboot looks pretty good. I like what I see on that. It looks very cool, very photorealistic. I like Infinity War. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Oh, excuse me. And the Death Stranding game could be good. I'm optimistic on that. I think it could be a very unique game. I'm going to definitely wait and watch early reviews on that. Right now, I can't buy anything anyway. I had Blaze and I were talking on the phone. He said, "Dude, I'll give you a code right now for this Days Gone. You've got to play it, but I won't give you the code if you're going to play Rage 2." I said, "Well," I said, "I appreciate that. Believe me, I would love the free code, but it's going to take me a long time to get through Rage 2 as it is, and that game looks definitely even longer. So thanks, but no thanks for right now." But it's very thoughtful of him. I've had so many people that have offered to give me game codes and stuff for games, but I feel guilty. I've got to play the games that I have now. I can't take any more on. I made a commitment to Tim Willits I would get that Rage 2, and so I set the money aside, half of it early on, put a bunch of money up front, and then my sister was nice enough to get that game for me, thank God, and it looks great. When I feel up to it, I'm very anxious to get through that game, but it's going to be a while, unfortunately. So anyway, that's it for my rant this week. I got a couple exciting things. I got a really special gift in the mail, something I've wanted for over 40 years. Someone read between the lines and was very generous. I don't deserve something this special, but probably didn't cost him an arm and a leg, but even still, it was very thoughtful. And he went through trouble even trying to secure the gift for me, and sent it. And I need to do a video just of that alone. It's very special. And so I've got that video coming. I'm going to try to do that this week if I can. And then I've got my modded Xbox thing. I'm just now getting up to speed where I'm learning enough about how to get in and operate in the coin ops thing, which is really what the meat and potatoes is of that system. So it's very cool. I've got a shitload of games in that. It's the ultimate console. So that will be coming up real soon here. Thank you so much for all the kind words. I've left a couple little messages on my channel just to let people know I'm still, here, and I appreciate your prayers and concern and everything. It's just a tough time right now. I'm just trying to get through this, and I've had many people that have been very kind and nice, and a couple people, unfortunately, that haven't been so nice. Supposedly are my friends, but then talk down to me and are selfish in their approach of how they address me with situations and issues, which I won't tolerate. So it's unfortunate. It's interesting to see, where people are coming from. But by and large, 95% of my people and viewers and friends out there have been very supportive and kind, and I really appreciate that. People's actions speak louder than the words. It's easy to say that, "Oh, I love you, Dean," and all this stuff, but then when they treat you like shit and talk down to you, that's not cool. So, especially right now, I'm not in the mood for that kind of stuff. So, it really sets me off. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for the kindness and your comments and your concerns. I really do appreciate it. My wife does too. It's a tough time, but I'll get through it. I've survived other shit, and I'll get through this. And my gaming is much limited sessions now, unfortunately, but it's going to get better. So Steve Baker came by the other day too. It was very nice. Brought a couple gifts by for me and helped me in my yard. And there's someone who put his mouth where his money is and came over and said, "Dean, here you need some help in your yard and you can't do it yourself." He came out here and with a tree saw trimmed some of my trees for me and helped me move some things around my yard that I couldn't do myself. It was so thoughtful. Thank you, Steve, for that. I really appreciate that. These are the good people that really make YouTube a very wonderful place. The last social media place I've got left, really, frankly, and I really enjoy my interaction with my friends, and you guys are my friends that are kind and considerate, that take the time to leave a nice comment and support me. It's very much appreciated. So thank you so much, guys, and enjoy your games.